you can tell a lot about a person's character based on how they treat animals. I want you to turn with me today to Numbers chapter 22. It's the story of the prophet Balaam. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. This made him so angry that he hit her with a stick. The donkey was able to see something spiritually that this man was not. We know that this donkey had some type of intelligence because it began to speak with intelligence. And listen to what it said. Am I your very own donkey, which you have ridden for years? Have I ever done this to you before? He answered the donkey and said, you made me look foolish. I wish I had a sword in my hand. I would kill you right now.
The societal view of donkeys is that they're stupid and stubborn. They will stop at the most inopportune times. They will go the wrong direction at the most inopportune times. Anybody watching will say, well, that man's stupid. He can't control his donkey. Our organization deals with the domestic donkeys that have suffered abuse and neglect. You can beat a donkey to death before you will get him to respond to what you want him to do. So we get a lot of these animals that come in with broken bones, missing teeth, split ears, scars all over their body. To counter all the bad press these guys get, we spend a lot of time just explaining to people how they can be used, and maybe we can find them a little niche in our society again. The first donkeys came to the United States in the 1600s. They were brought here by the Spaniards. The burros were used to build the railroads. They would carry the explosives up into the mountains where the horses and mules couldn't go. As the westward migration began, people would still use burros to carry their supplies as they came out west. Prospectors would use them. They were so adapted to desert life that they were the perfect companion. They have as much right to be here as we do. Trek across the desert is a form of time travel. You have the way it was before we spoiled it. I'm able to go out and return to the late 1800s and do it exactly the way the old burro men did. To be a true burro man, you have to be able to use profanity on a professional level. Come here. Come on. I always call them dumb sons of bitches. I don't know why that one comes to mind. But that's one of my favorite swears. Because I never strike them. I would never hit a donkey no sooner than I'd ever hit my wife. And then you feel guilty. And then you got to spend an extra hour coddling them and telling them how special they are to you because you feel bad that you cussed them to begin with. In every team there has to be a leader. So I'm the supreme leader because I decide where we go and when we go. But second in command is Patsy here. And that's because the other donkeys look to her as the top Jenny. Izzy, this one behind me, is the youngest one I bring. And her job is to keep everybody together. If everybody gets too strung out along the trail or takes a wrong turn, Izzy will make sure that we all stay together by running back and forth. And then Marilyn, who's wandering around here somewhere, is probably the sweetest donkey I bring. Very loving, very doting, very motherly, and very protective, which is important because if something were to happen, if some animal were to come into camp, Patsy here would be the first one to go after it along with Izzy, but Marilyn would stay behind with me and protect the camp.
organized cooperative control is carried on wherever necessary by state and Fish and Wildlife Service hunters. The preservation of our wildlife for future generations is part of good game management. A good sharp eye and a rifle. Steady now, this is no time to miss.
The miner just decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is too hard, and what am I going to do with this animal? When automobiles came along and four-wheel drive trucks and Jeeps came along, it was a lot easier to take care of a truck than a burro, and you just let them go. The burro is a feral animal that is not native to the ecosystem. Our management policy is to remove any of those, especially if they show any kind of impact to the native plants and animals. The bighorn sheep is very skittish. If they come into a spring with a lot of burros, they tend not to go there. They'll try and go someplace else. And in a desert where the water resources are so limited, it really puts even more pressure on this bighorn animal to be able to survive and find the next water hole. They tend to kind of dominate a spring. They will stomp in it. They'll actually urinate and defecate into these pools, making them very undesirable. And whatever vegetation grows around the pool, they will literally eat it to the nub. Our estimate was around 2,000 burros, maybe maximum. We ended up taking out 6,000 burros. So, I mean, we really underestimated what was going on out there. Now, the easy-to-get burros had been taken care of. There was still a large population out there that were a little more canny. Some of these guys had been chased around for several years. The last phase of the project then was to go into a more aggressive, what we call a direct reduction. Some folks will say that one burro is too many for shooting, but it really is a very humane way, and we've adopted out more burros alive than we've ever shot. Everybody and their grandmother wanted a burro. But today, the market is saturated. We still have folks saying we need to protect these burros, you need to make sure that you capture them alive. But we're finding it harder and harder for people willing to take them off our hands.
572. That's a 5-year-old. I was looking for the 2-year-old with the 7.9.
7.9, okay.
He's right here. I figured get a couple of Jennets and a Jack, and I could raise burros and make more money than I can making raising cattle. I won't lose as much as I do raising cattle. You can sell them for $25. They do. almost 30 years we had one that brayed every day, and then he finally got old and died, and
We got it from a neighbor.
and we haven't heard that sound at our place since. So now we will again.
Well, the burro will attack smaller animals like coyotes and stuff like that. And a lot of the sheep herders use them for that reason. They will adopt burros to make sure that, it helps protect their sheep. They act like a guard dog.
You don't feed them with their hands out flat because some of them can go down and bite you. That's because I almost got these 3 fingers taken off because the old one we had at our house I was giving her some hay flat-handed and she just clamped down on them and I'm like, ah! And that's about all I know of them. I just like donkeys.
Here's that, there's the West Nile, and they had rabies. I think, how are you going to say today? Oh, yeah, that's what's in your hand, huh?
Still works.
Yes, it does. And this is your loading slip. When you get ready to load the animal, you need to take this to one of the regulars outside. Okay. And if you bring the halter and lead rope for the burro, they'll put it on for you.
Oh, cool.
Okay?
And he wanted to be a mule skinner. But the tractor came along. He couldn't be a mule skinner. He went to college.
Say G and haw, and
Now these are
G means
mules.
turn to the right, and haw means turn to the left.
A mule is
Go
half
to the
horse
right.
and half burro.
I was mixed up there.
It takes a father burro and a male horse to make a donkey. Donkeys don't reproduce.
Mules.
Mules don't reproduce.
No.
Mules
no,
are a
you-
hybrid.
If you were to have them for a pet, they're like a dog, a companion animal. But socially, their structure is matriarchal, very much like elephants. They're smarter than most of the people who are dealing with them, and they definitely have a world more patience than any human beings I've met. We have to preserve some place in our American West where they can be free and wild. Because the African wild ass, which is their direct descendants, are nearly gone. These animals evolving here on our continent are the closest thing there is to the animals that they've come from.
As if I can't really get close to them, I'm still going to be real nice. I'm real nice with my sacker. This is not a whip I'm whipping him with. But I'm going to limit him to right circles and right turns only. And so that, even if I can't approach him, we can start doing something together, and I can get him responding to me a bit. And then usually after I do that a little while, he's ready for me to approach. They like it. I really don't want to approach him from the butt too much, so I will sometimes give him a little butt scratch. A work ethic doesn't come really naturally to anybody.
More sense to come out here around all the piles of donkey crap and talk to this animal that's never known kindness. That makes more sense than spending 4 hours on the freeway to pursue a job that will do nothing but give you a heart attack and an early death anyway. I'm just like her dad. We used to have a very successful business, and where we had a lot of money. My wife and I were able to travel extensively. My kids had the best of everything. So our life has changed dramatically. But I can honestly say we're closer as a family. The kids have a greater understanding of responsibility. You know, we enjoy the finer things in life, and we thought that's what was important. When you have a lot of money, you tend to spend a lot of money. You tend to be a consumer. You place importance in very strange places. That's as close as he gets to come to sex anymore, is that right there? Rawhide embodies all that American donkey is. He has been abused, he has been downtrodden, he has been all these things, and yet he was still, after all of that, able to come back and trust people again. We have to play psychic a little bit. We don't know if they've been beat. We don't know who beat them. Some are more scared of men than women. They may never be a pet, they may never be friendly, but if they can at least be a donkey and live out their life as a natural donkey should. Bunny came to us a few weeks ago. The new owners of the property had evicted these squatters. They left these animals behind. No one would help them. Skin over bone is all that's left. It takes so long to starve. It's a very gradual process to starve. You don't starve overnight. You starve over weeks or months. She may quite well have brain damage. But I know she can hear me. She's still looking at me. She's still responding to my touch, so she still feels. If we can give her more time so that she can know that the earth's not such a bad place and people really aren't that bad, then we've won one. And that's all we can do. We do them one at a time. We rescue one donkey at a time.
We're trying to remove burros from Highway 140 where they have been getting hit by cars. We're afraid of human fatalities happening here. We don't have any funding for removals, and Mark Meyers was very kind and offered services without us having to pay anything, so we said yes.
They're middle of the road. They're a little fatter, a little lazier than most desert burros, and that's going to play into our hands once we get them where we need them. Well, you know what? Right now I'm up in northern Nevada catching wild burros. Yeah, you want to call me right back and just leave me a message on my voicemail, and I'll get to you when I get back to town? Perfect. Thank you. Modern society.
Swing out some panels or something.
So we open this maybe. This way.
The local ranchers are placing bets on if we're going to catch any burros. They don't think we can do it without roping them.
Really don't want to go to Wranglers and be roping these donkeys.
Some other animals will they'll take off and they'll scurry and just hit everywhere until they get away. Where they sit there and they kind of like check things out and see what they want to do and plan what they're going to do before they make the move. and they're constantly looking for the weak spot in our line of people, and they'll find it. And once you spook them, and they take off running, it's done.
It's a game we're playing, whether they realize it or not. It's a cat and mouse game. I'm not a hunter. I had them in my sights many times. If I had a gun, I could have shot them, but that's too easy. What we're trying to do here is much more difficult, and they know it. They know as much about us as we do about them. They know how we run, how we walk, how we move, how we think, what we drive. So it's a game, so I don't like to lose any game. Hey, Barry, jump in your truck and let's go out to the Kinney Camp Road. They're still pretty alert, but that other group has moved far enough off that we might get these guys to settle if we can just hold them here for a little bit. That's a hell of a long way to go, though. I see your truck. Are you in the truck? Yeah, jump out. We want to turn them. That's the wrong direction. We need them coming back this way. You know what? We can't get the fucking team to work together. We're wasting our time. Oh, my God. The fact that we're not having much luck this time is kind of a mixed blessing. We'll come back empty-handed. But by the same token, this epitomizes why I love these animals. They're not stupid. They can't be tricked easily. I want those. I want them all.